Hello and welcome to the first in a series of 4 videos introducing our new range of weathering powders from Humbrol. These products are designed to make it fun and easy to introduce a whole host of weathering effects to your scale models. The weathering powders interact perfectly with existing Humbrol products such as deckle fix or matte coat, which means you can fix them down easily with products that you may already own, and these effects will stand the test of time when your models are on display. The range of colours being introduced covers a variety of scale modelling eventualities. The dark earth and sand can be used for dirt and general weathering purposes, whereas rust and iron oxide enable us to age and distress our metal areas on models. Also in the range we have black, smoke and chromium oxide, which offer a variety of other effects. When it comes to fixing the weathering powders down to a model, I prefer to use Humbrol Deckle Fix, and I'll discuss this more in a little while as it may seem unusual to some. The more traditional way to fix weathering powders down is with a varnish. I like to use our matte coat enamel based varnish in conjunction with the Humbrol enamel thinners to create a variety of different thicknesses of mixture which can achieve different effects depending upon the situation. This is the new Snatch Land Rover from Airfix, and I'm going to weather it to replicate the effects of soldiers bringing in dust and grime from the battlefield onto these areas of the vehicle. To do this, I'm going to mix up a sandy shade from the dark earth, the sand and white on this sheet of acetate, and I'm going to dilute it with deckle fix and water and then apply it to the model. Humbrol weathering powders can be mixed like paint to obtain the perfect shade for what you require. Because the sand colour is a little bit dark for what I'm hoping to achieve, I'm going to mix the sand with some of the other shades in our range. The dark earth will take away some of the yellowness of the sand colour, and then a touch of white will lighten the whole mixture. As soon as the water hits the weathering powders, the colours will mix together and I'll be able to see the shade that I've created. Now that I have the correct colour, I'm going to apply a few drops of Humbrol Deckle Fix. This solution is usually used to apply decals to a model to enable them to snug down to panel lines and other details. In this case, what this is actually doing is turning my diluted water powder mixture into an ever so slightly sticky layer of coloured powder, which is going to go onto my model and then enable me to actually reactivate it with water and manipulate the weathering powders after they've dried. This may sound a little bit confusing at first, but you'll soon see what I mean when I demonstrate the effect in action. All I'm doing here is applying a heavy coat of the mixture into the recessed details in the back of the Land Rover. When weathering your models, it's important to think about where dirt and grime would accumulate, and in this case the ridges in the rear bed of the vehicle would hold all of the sand and dirt that the soldiers bring into the fighting compartment with them. To this end, I'm just filling those recessed grooves with the mixture and making sure there are no areas which are left untouched. When that mixture dries, you'll see that the deckle fix has actually held the weathering powders to the model, and I can safely touch the weathered area without removing any of the colour. This is because the deckle fix was working like a glue and has fixed those powders down. However, if I take a brush moistened with water and then apply this to those weathering powders, they'll come back to life and I can now manipulate them again. By using the deckle fix in this fashion, it's given me the flexibility to keep reworking those weathering powders. It also makes it a great technique for beginners because it's very forgiving, and if something doesn't work out the way you like it, you can keep going back in until you're happy with the effect. And when that water which we use to remanipulate the weathering powders is dry, it's fixed back down again, and once again it becomes safe to handle. I can also use this effect to add some more visual interest by blending in some different colours. Here I've got some of the dark earth weathering powder, and I'm just going to add that to the recessed detail and use the reactivating effect of the deckle fix to blend it all together. You can do this as many times as you like until the desired effect is achieved. To finish this off, I'm going to take a moistened cotton bud and clear the top of the raised details of any of the weathering powders. By allowing the green paint to show through from underneath, but leaving the sand mixture in the recesses, I've quickly and easily achieved the effect of dirt and grime stuck down in those little ridges where the tops would have been brushed clear by the boots of the soldiers. I'm now going to show you how our weathering powders work with the enamel based varnish matte coat, and how you can use that to make a different effect by weathering the footwells on the driver and passenger side of the Land Rover. For this mixture I'm going to use more of the sand coloured weathering powder because I want the effect to be a bit more stark and a bit darker than it was in the back of the vehicle. I'm going to take matte coat, which has been thinned down with Humbrol enamel thinners, activate the weathering powders, and then I'm going to apply them to this flat area here. I'll take a few drops of matte coat and apply it to the weathering powder mixture, and then start stirring that together to have a look at the colour that I've mixed up and see whether it's suitable for the job. When I'm happy with the colour, I'll start adding the Humbrol enamel thinners. I'm only going to dilute half of the mixture that I've got on my palette. This will give me a variety of strengths of weathering powder solution that I can add to the model. The thinnest part of the solution starts off like a wash, and there's hardly any of the weathering powder visible at all. If I take some of the weathering mixture from where there's less thinners, I get a much stronger colour. This gives me complete control over how much of the weathering powders I'm actually applying to this area of the model. Because the matte coat stays wet for quite a long time as well, I get a longer working time than I would had I used a deckle fix solution. When the matte coat dries, you can't go back in and rework the weathering powders like you can with the deckle fix solution. Because of this, it's best to work in thin layers and build the colour up gradually. When one layer of matte coat has dried, you can apply another over the top and add to the effect. By adding a little bit of different coloured weathering powder straight into the wet mixture, I can add more visual interest by blending the colours on the model. This will add to the depth and realism of the finish and looks better than using two separate layers of different colours. Our range of weathering powders and Humbrol matte coat are all safe to use with our range of acrylic paints. I painted this Land Rover with acrylics, and I haven't had to varnish or do any special treatments to the paintwork before using these mixtures at all. And here you can see the finished effect. The Humbrol matte coat has dried perfectly flat and clear, fixing the weathering powders onto the surface of the model. The interior of my Land Rover now looks dirty and worn, just like the real thing, and the techniques to achieve this look really were so simple and easy to use. We'll be releasing more videos on weathering powder techniques shortly, but in the meantime, now you've seen how easy it is, why don't you grab some and give them a try. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you again.